Hey guys, Dr. Matt here. This will be the first video of a multiple part series addressing the question, is your goal to build health or prevent disease? Have you ever wondered why we always hear conflicting advice on the latest way to get fit or stay healthy? Seems like every few months or so there's another magic bullet cure for health conditions. But Get Slim Quick and Pain Relief Scheme are a dime a dozen these days. Not to mention the thousands of ads for medication with their long list of side effects. The reason we're bombarded with so much advertisement and conflicting information is because the billions upon billions of dollars at stake in the high-paced pharmaceutical industry. The allopathic healthcare model has turned into a money-making scheme by the pharmaceutical industry. Doctors are taught more about drugs than they are about truly connecting to the story of their patient. Medicine has become more about mitigating symptoms instead of treating the root cause of disease. It's a wonder then that some people have a skewed opinion of their own health. The vast majority of the population have been taught health is the absence of symptoms. People will regularly treat symptoms with medications that create side effects that require more medication. The doctors just don't know better because the pharmaceutical intervention has become such an important part of their training, and the drug companies laugh all the way to the bank. But I digress. This video series is not about the rich drug companies, but about people's perception of their health. What people believe about health can depend on several different factors, such as the example set for them growing up, what they learned in school, what they've been told by others, and what they believe health really is. All of these factors rely on the individual interpretation of and definition of health given to them by those that they consider experts. There is some truth embedded in the philosophies taught to us, otherwise we wouldn't follow the thought. But when you begin to dig deeper, various inconsistencies pop up. For instance, an entire generation of people were brought up hearing that smoking warded off disease, radiation was good for the skin, and heroin was perfectly safe to use as a cough suppressant. With all of the conflicting information we receive, what do we truly know and without a doubt is true about health? I believe we can come to some very reasonable conclusions. First, the design of our body is intricate. Your body consists of hundreds of billions of cells, neurons making up over 90,000 miles of neurological connection. Each connection receives input from the environment via sensory nerves, and then the brain converts that input into a neurochemical impulse that is processed and distributed out to the body. Sometimes the process happens automatically without you having to think about it, kind of like pulling your hand away from a hot stove. And sometimes the process is because of your conscious brain, like if you decide that it's hot in here and walking over to turn the air conditioner on. Either way, the reaction depends on an intricate ballet of functions that are all controlled and directed by your nervous system. In controlling all of the other parts of the body, the nervous system is the critical pathway to health. Consider the fight or flight functions of the body. Fight or flight is a term used to describe the response our body has to emergency situations. When a loud noise goes off and surprises you, the jump and flinch and increased heart rate that you exhibit is an example of fight or flight. When the normal balance of functions of the body are interpreted, the body is designed to operate in fight or flight as well. Think of it as the emergency mode or slamming on the brakes. It is the sympathetic response to trouble. It is what makes you freeze at the sight of a spider in your shoe or jump when a loud noise startles you. During the fight or flight response, your body is trying to prioritize, so anything it doesn't need for immediate survival is put on the back burner. Things like digestion, reproduction, growth hormone production, and tissue repair are all temporarily halted. Instead, your body is using all its energy on the most crucial priorities and functions. Normally, after a fight or flight response, the body will recover to a normal state fairly quickly. But when your body isn't in a healthy state, this isn't always the case. There are times when fight or flight gets stuck in the on position, and this can create long-term effects on your body. The normal process the body takes to recover from fight or flight is like slowing down a bus. The bus weighs a lot, and depending on the speed that it is going, it can take hundreds of feet to come to a full stop. As the brakes are applied, the passengers in the bus feel the effects of forward momentum, and depending on how abrupt, can even slide forward in their seats. If the brakes are applied early enough, the driver can successfully stop the bus and avoid injury without having to slam them to the floor. Our sympathetic systems operate very similarly. Just like if the brake lines and electrical actuators of a bus were pinched or clogged, an abnormal process could occur in the body when the nervous system is hindered in some way. thus affecting its ability to stop the runaway process of the sympathetic nervous system. So just like the forward momentum of the bus, the body's processes have a momentum. The gas pedal and brake pedals represent your immune system. It goes faster or slower when it needs to, and the functions of your body all sit in their seats happily riding down the highway. The brake lines, electrical lines, actuators, hydraulic lines, etc. represent the communication lines of your nerves. They run through channels and supports through the frame of the bus, which represent your spine. So just like with the bus, any kinked line can cause a malfunction down the line. The result of a kinked line can range from a slow deceleration, a full stop failure, or a runaway downhill plunge off the side of a cliff. The fight or flight response represents just one of the many crucial and intricate functions of the body. And yet, without just this one response, the body would cease to exist. The complexity of the body obviously doesn't stop there, but I hope this example has proven that the body is indeed very intricate. The second conclusion we can come to about the body and its healing ability relies on its complexities as well. Once you delve into how many functions overlap in our body, it becomes apparent that our body's systems are interconnected. All of the processes of our body are interconnected and have an effect on each other. So, have you ever been to a carnival or a theme park? Six Flags, Disney World, something like that? If so, then you've undoubtedly noticed that they go to the extremes to immerse their guests in their fantasy world. You wouldn't be surprised then if I told you that the bright lights, the unique sights and sounds have all been engineered specifically to engage people's imagination. When the environment around someone changes, their senses react. Nerve impulses, changes with the flashing lights, heart rate changes with the loud sounds, their digestive enzymes change at the smell of deep fried fair food. That change their body and mind endures is a result of their environment. The interconnectedness doesn't stop there, however, as our healing is affected by our internal and external factors as well. For example, improper nutrition affects your body's production of healing cells. Toxic overload affects your body's ability to absorb proper nutrition, and spinal misalignments neurologically impacts all the functions of the body. For this example, let's break down environmental factors into two components, external and internal. So, external environmental factors we rely on at the most basic level can be things like access to clean air and water, the safety and security of you and your family, proper footwear or clothing to reduce exposure to the elements, financial security, a non-stressful work or home environment, and even healthy relationships. So some specific external environmental toxins can be things like loud and repetitive noises at work, noxious fumes from the truck in front of us in traffic, herbicides, pesticides, things like that on our vegetables, heavy metals in our drinking water, lead-based paint. Our bodies are very good at protecting us from these toxins. However, our exposure to toxins over time can create a cumulative buildup within our body. This eventually leads to a breakdown of the very systems meant to protect us. Some other external factors affecting our body's ability to heal are things like accidents, injuries, physical and psychological trauma. Toxins and traumas can be obvious, like an accident, injury, or not so apparent because of their cumulative effect over time. But either way, these issues that play a factor in our healing. Internal environmental factors that we rely on, such as proper nutrition, hydration, and immunity, have the disadvantage of also being affected by our external environment and its cumulative effects. So, an example of how our internal environment is affected by the things that happen to us can be seen in how each system operates. For example, the skin is a protective barrier against outside contamination. The circulatory system is responsible for even distribution of immune cells across the body. Lymphocytes detect and act upon stress signals originating from both foreign and internal stimuli. Fibroblasts are cells that are highly abundant in the connective tissue and are important in providing a structural basis for the skin. Neutrophils are part of the innate immune system and carry out a variety of functions during the natural wound repair process, and the list goes on and on. There are multiple cellular processes that happen to heal you, and what do they all have in common? They are all affected by your body's other processes or by your internal environment. So we've seen how improper nutrition affects your body's production of healing cells. Toxic overload affects your body's ability to absorb proper nutrition, and even how spinal misalignment neurologically impacts all the processes of the body. And we conclude that this intricate and delicate balance is your body's normal process. As delicate as each process is, it is precisely because they are interconnected that the system or body itself is very robust. The robust nature of the body allows it to operate under many less ideal conditions for a time until the system as a whole becomes overwhelmed. The third and final conclusion I'd like to illustrate today is how our body is robust and designed to heal itself. So, not many people know that their body is designed to heal itself. They may understand that if they burn their finger on a stove, for instance, that the wound will close and heal under most circumstances by itself without any other intervention. As we discussed before, the body's response to an injury, like a burn, involves an intricate ballet of body processes to occur at just the right time. We also understand that the body remains perfectly capable of pulling this off as long as there aren't external factors affecting that healing. These factors can arise internally or externally and can be both inside and outside of the body as well as the cell. It can include the things surrounding the cells or body and the quality of the resources available to the cell or body process. In other words, the things affecting the finger's healing, from the example, can be from the internal environment, for example, not having enough clotting factor in your blood, or the external environment, like dirty lake water. If I clean and keep the injury out of a dirty lake, and my body has everything it needs to heal, such as proper nutrition, antibodies, macrophages, etc., it will heal on its own without having any intervention. If my body doesn't have everything it needs to heal, however, then it's going to be healing more slowly or not at all. So factors such as impaired and impeded nervous system, reduced amounts of the immune cell types, the neutrophils, endothelial cells, fibroblasts, that sort of thing, exposure to environmental toxins, or even improper nutrition can all impact your body's inherent healing ability. The important thing to remember is that most of these detriments to healing don't occur suddenly. The gradual onset or exposure to any of these things, as well as the cumulative nature of these issues, stacking on top of each other, is where we see the most issues. Knowing that these issues accumulate over time, it's easy to see how correcting them can take a period of time as well. So bringing the body back into the state it was designed for is a process that involves both reducing environmental toxins as well as providing what it needs. So we will explore more on the subject of inherent healing in a later video from this series, but for now I'd like to recap. Today we discussed and laid the framework for our video series answering the question, is your goal to build health or prevent disease? We determined that there are many different ideas and opinions about health that we learned from our upbringing and are fed to us by the allopathic medical establishment. We discussed that although opinions differ, we can draw certain conclusions based on observing the intricacy, interconnectedness, and robust healing abilities of the body. Finally, we landed on the most profound realization that we can have about our body, and that is our body's ability to heal itself, and it does heal itself. I hope you enjoyed this video, and remember to keep an eye out for more videos as we look forward to delving deeper into the subject of healing. Don't forget to partner with us by liking, sharing, and commenting below.